The following video was created for the purposes of criticism, commentary, and parody. The usage of copyrighted works in this video does not directly compete with the original works in question or the copyright holders on a monetary standpoint, or act as a replacement for the original works. Most of the footage used in this video is heavily edited and or commented on top of, and only the appropriate amount of footage is used in order to facilitate the critique and commentary present throughout the video. Now for the last two episodes of GumBomb Week 3. I gotta say, this week went by swiftly and smoothly. I don't know if I'm actually being punctual for once, or this week just seemed kinda dull, especially when compared to the previous 2 weeks. I don't know and I don't care. I've got a job to do. The 2 episodes we're gonna take a look at today are the Catfish and the Stars. Let's start with the Catfish. Gumball and Darwin discover that all their step-grandfather Louie wants is a friend on the Elmer Plus website. So to that end, the 2 boys create an online persona known as Muriel. A different kind of Muriel, which makes Louie ecstatic and aggravates the 2 boys. But worst comes to worst when Granny JoJo discovers the conversations between Louie and Muriel. And you know what they say, hell hath no fury like an elderly bunny rabbit scorned. Pretty good episode overall. I just want to make a quick aside before talking about the episode proper. I do not like JoJo. It seems that her only purpose in the show is to initiate conflict and nothing more. Hell, in her first appearance, the kiss, she kicked off the plot and then sits in the sidelines immediately after. And it doesn't help that she has nothing resembling a personality except for typical old people stuff, like being cranky, lazy, and apathetic. She gets better with each appearance, but only slightly so, and her purpose remains the same regardless. Thankfully, this episode gives us something of a little more substance from JoJo. I kinda like this possessive side to her. Not only does it prove that she's more than a one-note deal, but it also makes her vulnerable, which I welcome with open arms. Underneath all that grouch and bitterness is just a lonely old lady with a void as large as that of her husband. Her vulnerability isn't played up in a nauseatingly sappy way, and actually leads to a funny moment or two, as opposed to her just sucking the enjoyment out of the atmosphere. That's on top of the rest of the episode, which is quite funny in and of itself, though I can't help but think that someone in the writing team has it out for the furry fandom. Don't know what I'm talking about? Take a look at this scene.
Every time I close my eyes, I can still see those weird drawings of me. Who draws that stuff?
You know, Gumball, it could be worse. You could have found the Rule 34 of yourself instead. Be grateful you didn't. What, you want more proof? How about this?
Her luscious lips, her flowing hair, her cutie patootie.
I'm sorry, but I refuse to picture that last image. Goodbye, cruel world!
I too didn't want to know about JoJo's cutie patootie, so you and me both, pal. Still not convinced? Then maybe this will.
Our hearts melting with hunger until we consumed each other like a pair of feasting lions. We spent every hour of every day.
I'm gonna go bathe.
Jeez, I didn't want to know about that either. Maybe someone in the writing team found out about the Rule 34 and didn't quite like what they saw. No, I don't honestly believe that any of the writers have it out for the furry fandom. I was merely speculating. The characterization is another strength of this episode. It's similar to The Fuss in that the boys' attempt to do something nice for a family member inadvertently causes a problem. But because of their good intentions, they're not immediately put in the wrong. It was just misguided. It was something that started off simple, but grew increasingly, needlessly convoluted. And as I said, JoJo is not a bad character here. Perhaps because she's actually a character, and a pretty damn funny one at that too. I have a soft spot for giving characters non-standard traits that still fit well with their personalities.
Please scan your item.
Who do you think you're talking to? He's my boyfriend, mine!
Please place your item in the burger.
I'll stick my foot in your bagging area!
Take notes, E Honda. This grandma's got your number. And most importantly, everything is resolved by the end. Or is it? Hell if I know. I'm gonna give the Catfish a 3.5 out of 5. It's not the most poignant family-centric episode, but it does its job. Moreover, it does show how far JoJo has come as a character, which isn't the most remarkable improvement, but still an improvement. Another quick aside, doesn't that episode title strike you as odd? Yes, Catfish is supposed to be slang for someone who puts up a fake identity on the internet, but there's an obvious or not so obvious double meaning behind it. What animals are Gumball and Darwin? A snake and a mongoose, B, a bear and a wolf, or C, a cat and a fish? If you answered a cat and a fish, congratulations! Give yourself 10 times the internet cookies you have now. Seriously, Gumball and Darwin doing some catfishing on their unsuspecting grandfather? Sounds like a cat and a fish doing some catfishing. Ha 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 ha.
That's a joke, boy. You missed it. Went right past you. I say you gotta keep on your toes. What toes, that is? But the fast ones get right by you. Keep your ears open.
Were you being a genius again, Ben? The Stars is the 4th and final episode for GumBomb Week 3. After Richard takes a miserable trip to the barbershop, he and the boys give Larry, the owner of said barbershop, a scathing review on the internet. Seeing that reviews are apparently gospel in this universe, the boys use this to their utmost advantage, and Larry's life becomes even more of a living hell than it already is. I get why people don't like this episode because Gumball and Darwin are pretty goddamn annoying. Yes, Gumball is cynical, perhaps dangerously so given his age. He's very hedonistic, but there should still be boundaries as to how much is too much. Indirectly ruining Larry's life is one thing, which is one of the reasons why I don't like The Laziest, but actively making life painful for him is where issues start to crop up. And Darwin himself is no better, going along with his brother's sadistic little scheme despite being the supposed voice of reason. One more time, there should be boundaries as to whether or not a certain trait of a character is being overplayed. I know that Darwin is not as much of a goody two-shoes as he was in Season 1, and I welcome imperfections as much as the next guy does, but dial down on the douchebaggery, please. This is bringing back bad memories of Mordecai's awful characterization in Think Positive from regular show, which for the record is an episode that pisses me off. But as questionable as Gumball and Darwin's portrayal in this episode may be, it doesn't completely undermine the commentary the episode was going for. Gumball and Darwin's douchebaggery is the result of flanderization and not character derailment. Neither of these are a good thing to have in your show, but a defense can be made for either of them, albeit a very tenuous defense. Gumball and Darwin may be flanderized, but it's at least still even very slightly consistent with who they are as characters. Well, as far as Gumball goes, that is. Darwin is a bit more indefensible. As for the actual commentary, it's kind of funny to me that customers can just throw their weight on the businesses that provide for them, and that Elmore lives and dies by word of mouth across the internet.
I don't think we'll be paying.
And why would I give you a free meal?
Because that's the sort of generous touch that guarantees you a glowing 5-star review.
I don't think so.
4 stars it is then.
Hey, stop that! One bad review online is all it takes to drag a place down!
Maybe it's because I'm a critic, and people have a habit of taking a critic's opinion as gospel. I'm guilty of that. My time and money are precious to me, and I want to waste as little time and money as possible over mediocre or subpar crap. The comedy also keeps this episode from being a total failure. The restaurant scene was pretty damn funny, the theater scene was masochistically funny, and I got a real kick out of Mr. Robinson trying to reverse psychology the termites into eating his wife.
Well, at least we can sleep in the car. Well, at least I still got my loving wife. No, come on!
Guess we know how he really feels about her. Though the fact that the lead up to these jokes is the boys being grade A a-holes hurts them a little bit. While these flaws could be fixed with a little tweaking, there is one thing I would totally get rid of. That fucking scene at the zoo.
That is horrific.
Ew, ew, ew! What the hell is that freak of nature supposed to be? And why does it give birth to its offspring through its nose? Whatever it is, it ain't something I'm letting inside my house, that's for sure. Thankfully, this is the last instance of unnecessary gross out in this season, but still, it's unnecessary. My verdict for the Stars is that I don't hate it, but the execution could have been better. The nifty ideas can be salvaged, and the ones that didn't work can be refined, except for that unholy monstrosity. Kill that thing with fire! I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Gumball, Darwin, and Richard are a problem, I can't ignore that. But I also can't ignore the fact that everything else is fine the way it is. The commentary, the jokes, both physical and verbal, they're quite good. I would have given this episode a 4 if the Watersons were better written. As it is now, it's passable. Well, that was a pretty mild week, don't you think? Maybe the next one will be more eventful. No guarantees, but here's hoping. Before that though, I've got a special little video in the works, and perhaps a few smaller ones on the side too. Okay, the video I'm talking about is special, but it's anything but little. That I can guarantee.